Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Monday, March 7th. We're going to take a look at some NBA player props and prize picks for tonight. I looked through some college ones. I didn't really see a whole lot that I like, so I'm going to go ahead and stay away. There's only about a dozen college games tonight, but I do have some NBA plays that I like, so as always, we're going to walk through the NBA cheat sheet. I'm going to show you how I use it to find player props. We're going to take a look at a few. I'm going to give you my favorite 4, and then I'm going to give you about 6, and you can choose between those 6 if you want to mix in and go with my cards. So, as always, we have our NBA cheat sheet here, and this is great for daily fantasy information, sports betting, player props, prize picks, whatever you need. We have our DVP data over here. We have some tiers if you play the DraftKings contest. We have our own models here if you do sports betting that projects everything. We have our player props, and you can flip through all the games and see what that player averaged the last 7 days, the last 15 days, and what they're projected at for the current day. But my favorite tab is the last 7 tab. And here we have the DVP just over the last 10 games. I mean, fantasy points equal props. So that's kind of something we use to point us in the right direction. And we're also going to take a look at minutes projected versus last 7. Make sure they're playing the same amount of minutes. And then we have our points, rebounds, assists, and we always start off with our points, rebounds, and assist column, and we sort this from high to low. The theory behind this is most sites use the current player projections as their line. Now, there are a few people like Embiid, they're going to bump it up just because he constantly crushes that number, but we're looking for blips on the radar, so we're looking at the last 7 games. So that's usually, we like to see 2 or 3 games majority. If it's 1, you really want to dig into it. Sometimes you'll get 4 games and, get a little bit more data. But we're looking for differences here, and those are the players that we want to go look at, their player prop or prize pick. And then we've got the DVP stuff we're going to take a look at. So just sorting by the points, rebounds, and assists, flipping down here. I've went through these guys. Dinwiddie, Bagley, Hero, they're not up yet. Martin's a low-minute player. Jokic is up, but he's got a big line. Fox is the first one that comes down to me. So looking at him, he's got a good DVP spot here. They're giving up 58.4 fantasy points to his position, and that's 26% of the total they allowed. And remember, if we get to 23 and higher, that's usually a smash spot. He's been averaging 31.7 points over the last week, and he's only projected at 22.3. So that gives him a plus 9.4. I also want to look at his points, rebounds, and assist prop as he's got a plus 8 number there. So we're going to come over here, and the first player we're going to look at is De'Aaron Fox. Looking at his points prop, 25.5, that looks like a good line, so I went ahead and stayed away from that. With the 26, 25, 26, he's hovering around this. So, and you can see here, he's projected at 22.3, but Price Picks moved this up to 25.5, so they set a good line on that one. But what I like is his PRA number over 34.5, just because he gets a little bit of everything here, and he's in a good DVP spot. So if he doesn't necessarily get those points or falls just shy, I don't want to take a loss. So the first play I went with on my card was De'Aaron Fox, points, rebounds, and assists over 34.5. And I like it. We have a little bit more wiggle room here. He's got 40s or more in 4 of the last 5 games, so that gives us a little bit of flex room. So that's what I went with. Going back over to the sheet, DeJounte Murray's questionable tonight. If he's out, I really want to look at some Keldon Johnson props. They're not up yet because they don't know the status, but Keldon Johnson has a huge usage rate bump. I like him either way, but if DeJounte's out, he's someone I definitely want to get some exposure to. The next one is Tyrese Maxey. So looking at this, he jumps out here on his points prop, but what changed? So Harden was out last game, so that's going to throw off some of the numbers. But what jumped out at me when I'm scrolling across here is the 3-point shots made. And we really don't look at the 3-point shot column too often, but he's projected at 1.7, but he's averaging over 4 over the last week. So to me, that's a significant difference. So when I pulled up Maxey, and this is the second guy I went with, I was looking at his points prop. Now it's up to 17.5. That's a healthy number. And he's been putting up a lot of points, but with Harden and Embiid and a tough matchup against Chicago, I don't love it as much as I did when we were on it last week. So the one that jumped out at me, though, was his 3-point shots made. I love these small numbers of 1.5 where he could get lucky and hit 2 in the first quarter and you're done with that leg of your card and you can move on. He's been over this in 5 straight games with 3, 5, 4, 3, and 2. So really we only lose if he has 0 or 1. So I like Tyrese Maxey to go over 1.5 3-point shots made. I think that's a good one. Going back over here to the card, we got a few people we went down. Cade Cunningham we're going to talk about, but again, tough DVP spot that we can see here. 17% and only 38.5 points to his position, and his numbers are just slightly over or slightly under. Wood, he popped, but he's in a really tough matchup tonight. Harden, I'm always going to go back to him. I love his assist. That's the third play I went with on my card. Harden and Embiid are just heavy usage players, and they're always going to be involved. So if the game's close or it's a competitive game, they're always going to be down there racking up stats. Now, I can tell you, free throws made, a lot of people were talking about this on the Twitterverse. So he's got 11, 8, 10, and 8, and he's 7.5. So he's been over it in every game he's been with Philadelphia. So that's one they took a look at. I did not go with that one. I went right back to his assist. As long as it's 10.0 and not 10.5, I like it because we only lose if he's at 9. And 9, I think, is really his floor. So, I mean, there's a possibility of losing. But he never has a game of like 3, 5. I mean, he's always going to be in that 8 to 16 range. But look at this, 11, 9, 16, and 12 since he's been there. So 10, I'm okay with the push. You know, it happens. But I really think he can go 11, 12, or better, especially in a game against Chicago, which hopefully should be a competitive game. So I went right back to Harden assist. There's nothing on the sheet that jumps out to show you that. That's just experience from playing him. As far as assist, he's only a 1.7. He's averaging that over the last 5 games, so that wouldn't jump out at you. So if you didn't see that one, don't worry about it. It's just a personal favorite of mine. And then his points prop here, or just his DVP, is 24%. 55.1 to his position, so he's in a good spot tonight for pretty much any prop. So even if you wanted to come over here and take his points, rebounds, and assist, I don't mind doing that. It's a little high for me at 42.5. You know, he's been under that, well, I guess just once, but these two, 44 and 47, he's been fairly close to that, so I prefer just to go with assist. And then going down here, the fourth leg on my card, and the player that I love tonight is Karl Anthony Towns. Look at this DVP spot. If we come in here and we sort this by percentage, which I do every now and then, he screams to the top. So he's going up against a team that's giving up 77.4 fantasy points to his position. That is by far and away, 50 to 55 is really high. 77.4 is asinine. And then when you get over this 23% and above, these are good DVP spots, and he's at 29%. And typically 245 to 255 is a lot of fantasy points we always talk about over here. 209 is really low, but he's getting 270. So he's in a smash spot tonight, and they just played this game. So let's go take a look at him. He's the fourth leg I put on my card. So looking at Karl Anthony Towns, what I went with is his points, rebounds, and assists. Just his rebounds number is a little high, but we'll go ahead and take a look at all of them. So his points, 27.5, that's a lot of points. Now, he just played Portland and put up 36, so by all means, he could definitely go over that number. And his usage rate without Anthony Edwards on the floor, it goes up like 7 or 8%. I forget what the number was. His rebounds, he's been under this number of 11, but then in this last game against Portland, he went up and grabbed 15. I mean, he just kills it on the inside. But I went with his points, rebounds, and assists because I don't want to get stuck on one thing of points or rebounds. So I just want to get the whole package, everything together. And he just played Portland, 2 days ago on March 5th, and put up 56 for his points, rebounds, and assists. So he went over this by 12.5. So I really like that. The other games, he's kind of struggled and been under it, but I think Towns is in a smash spot. He just played this, so he should be able to get this in 3 quarters and lock it down. So those are the 4 that I went with. Now I've got some, I'm going to call this like my 5-0, or actually I got one more. Let me pull him up. I forgot. Fox was the other guy. So he has a +9 on his points, so he's someone else that jumped out at me. Let me pull him up. Yeah, Fox was the 4th. I apologize. So Fox points is one that jumped out at me. 25.5 is a lot, but he's been sliding over that. And he's got a 4-0 over number, and the one he did miss was just by a hook. And he's in a good DVP spot tonight against the Knicks that are giving up 26% of their fantasy points to his position. So that was the 4th leg that I went with. So I had Maxey over 1.5 3-point shots made. Karl Anthony Towns, points, rebounds, and assists over 43.5. Harden assist over 10. And Fox points, rebounds, and assist over 34.5 is another one. So I apologize. I just showed you the Fox points over here and said that was a good one. I was just looking down at my card and I took his points, rebounds, and assist over just because he's been over it a little bit more. 34.5, he got up to 52, got up to 43, 41, 41. So he's got a little bit more wiggle room there, but I like both of them. But on the sheet, his points jumped out at me, but points, rebounds, and assists looked better once I saw the price pick lines that he went with. So sorry about that. Gave you a little bit of false information. Let's go ahead and look at, so I made a column called 5-0, or I got some 4-1s in there too, but people over the last 5 games who were going over their prop numbers, so those are ones I want to take a look at. LeBron assist is one that jumped out at me, so he hasn't hit 6 assists in 5 straight games, so he has a smash DVP spot tonight, so I'd stay away from it, but it's just one I want to show you because it's been under so many times in a row. And then Saddiq Bey, points, rebounds, and assists, 24.5. That looks enticing against Atlanta. He's been over it in 4 straight games, and even with the game that he missed, he's still averaging 30.6. So he's got a huge average over this 24.5 line. So that's one that I think you can definitely take a look at tonight if you want to replace one of the plays that I had or you didn't like it. And then Cade Cunningham, points. We had him. He's a 5-0 guy. He's barely been getting over this number, though. He's at 18.5. He had a 19 game, a 20, a 20, and a 22, so barely over it. But either way, he's averaging 21.2. He's getting over this in a game that should have a lot of points scored tonight. He's someone that you can take a look at. And then D'Angelo Russell. And this kind of shocked me because, as I stated in the last video, I went to this OKC Thunder game. I'd never been to an NBA game, so I decided to go down there and watch it. And I was excited to see Shea Alexander and then D'Angelo Russell. And I was shocked at how useless D'Angelo Russell was. Like, he didn't stand out to me on the court. He didn't impress me. He just kind of blended in the background. But he's got a massive usage rate. His usage rate's like 26. So I was kind of shocked at that. And he's in a good spot going up against Portland tonight. But his points, rebounds, and assists, he's been under this in 5 straight games. He's averaging less than 30. He just played Portland and had 32, which was his ceiling game. So he's got a lot of 32, 32, 32, 26, 27. So I think this game could get out of hand, be a blowout, and he slide under this number tonight. So if you don't like one of my other plays, I don't mind sliding him if you like an under. Sabonis is another one that shot up. So his assist, he's been over this in 5 straight games with 6, 6, 7, 7, 7. Pretty consistent. So I like that one. That one kind of jumped out at me. And then Sabonis points. That was another one. So he hasn't hit his points prop in 5 straight games. He's been 12 to 15 points. So field goal plus under it, averaging 14. So sliding under that. The Knicks are tough on the inside. With Randall and Barrett in there, he could struggle tonight and slide under that 17.5, so I don't mind going that route either. And then RJ Barrett was the other one, and his assist at 3.5 seemed a little bit low, and when I was looking at it, he's been over it in 4 straight with 4, 5, 7, and 6, so he's been involved quite a bit, so that's one I think you can take a look at against Sacramento, where they should get a ton of action tonight. And then the other one that I was digging into a little bit, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet on a free throw prop. But his free throw prop of 4.5, he's been over this 5 straight. He's averaging 8.2 made free throws over the last 5 games. So he's got this 14 game that skews it, but 6, 7, 7, 7. And the number tonight's only 4.5. So I don't mind that as well if you want to take a little shot on it. But anyways, those are the ones that I came up with. I didn't see anything in college that jumped out, so go ahead, have some fun. Like I said, we're into March Madness. We're going to have a lot more videos and picks, so make sure to subscribe down below. As always, if you're new to the cheat sheets and you want to play with them, I post them in our Facebook group. The link is in the description every Thursday for people to play with. We do post it in the morning, usually before 9 or 10 a.m. Central Time, and I update it again about 90 minutes before lock for you fantasy players. People always ask what changes on the update. The only thing that changes is the projection of the players and then the daily fantasy projection. So if you're doing props, you'll get a little bit different lines. And then if you're doing daily fantasy, you'll get an updated projection after all the news breaks, or as much of it as we can. But if you're doing sports betting, that doesn't change. The numbers are the numbers for the teams, and they don't change throughout the day. They're going to be there regardless. So anyways, good luck, guys, and go make some money.